fellow. My name's Forrest Gump.
He's a very personable guy, Forrest.
Those must be comfortable shoes. I'll bet you could walk all day in shoes like that and not feel a thing.
Forrest is also not totally bright, so he's able to stay slightly innocent.
Mom always said that there's an awful lot you can tell about a person by their shoes. Where they going, where they been.
Forrest Gump is a very simple person who ends up doing very extraordinary things.
I've worn lots of shoes.
Forrest becomes a huge football star.
He becomes a shrimping boat captain.
Only caught 5. A couple of boys, you could have yourself a cocktail.
Everything sort of happens to him by accident.
Everybody wants you to use their ping pong stuff. One man even left a check for $25,000.
One of the fun things about the movie is that Forrest seems to brush near all these historic people and historic events. And Forrest is wonderful for telling the story because we can present through his eyes this tapestry of American history. That, I guess, is what makes it compelling, that you think that anything can happen. And you're not quite sure where this story is taking you.
It's an epic of human proportions.
Hey, dummy! Are you retarded or just plain stupid? Look, I'm Forrest Gump. Run, Forrest! Run away! Hurry!
Forrest Gump starts as a boy, and then he grows to a man who's someone who grew up in the Deep South. And he's limited, in a way, by having a very low IQ. But he's a very decent man. And that's what he is as a character.
Would you like a chocolate?
Oh, thank you.
I found the book Forrest Gump in 1985, and I fell in love with it. I read the first line, and the first line of the book is, "Being an idiot ain't no box of chocolates."
My mom always said that life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get.
It made you laugh and it made you cry, and I knew there are very few times in life where a piece of material couldn't do that.
Now, this is normal. Forrest is right here.
What does normal mean anyway?
I read the screenplay and couldn't put it down. It was compelling in a strange way because it didn't have any typical plot devices. And all I wanted to do is find out what was going to happen to this guy.
He says, I read this thing. This breaks every rule of movie making that I know of. You know, there's no quest that anybody is on. There's no bad guy. It's just the spirit of Forrest Gump. That's the backbone of the movie.
You just know this song. Yeah, right. You're gonna just go for it.
I couldn't imagine anyone else who could play the character. Not only is Tom Hanks one of the most incredibly talented actors, but he just brings such an energy and a tone to the movie.
Okay.
Tom's characterization of Forrest is better than I ever imagined.
Forrest really only believes in 3 things. He believes in God, and he believes in his mama, and he believes in Jenny. And anything other than that has to be filtered through those 3 things.
Did you hear what I said, Forrest? You're the same as everybody else. You are no different.
Mama Gump is the support that Forrest feels all of his life. The voice who gave him strength and wisdom and unconditional, full-out love.
Mama knew what Forrest was like right from the very beginning, and she was not one to hide him.
My boy Forrest is going to get the same opportunities as everyone else.
Her word was bond, and her wisdom was golden. And so the fact that he could always turn to his mama for the straight dope played a big role in his growing up.
Forrest,
Forrest, I am so proud of you.
Sally was always in my mind for the part because I needed someone who was young in the beginning of the movie and who could age. And there was something about the way the character was written. I just always saw her in this part.
Such a little lady gave birth to such a great big boy.
Yep, it hurt like hell.
I gave her the script and said, Sally, you want to play Tom Hanks's mother? You know, wondering what she was going to say.
I played Sally's love interest, in another movie. So, and it was kind of hilarious.
Sweetheart, get it out of my face.
I done graduated, Mom.
Yes, but get your thing out. Not only was it this lovely, lovely script, and Bob Zemeckis, who's truly amazing, but it was Tom.
I happen to believe you make your own destiny. You have to do the best with what God gave you.
What's my destiny, Mom?
You're gonna have to figure that out for yourself.
The flight's taken.
To cast the role of young Forrest, we knew we'd have to find a unique kid. We found Michael Humphreys in an open casting call, and he's just a kid who grew up in Mississippi who went to an open call, and he jumped off the screen when we saw him because he had a very different type of delivery.
We never had the real template for the way Forrest needed to sound, for good or for bad. And when Michael came in, we said, well, I think there it is.
What character do you play?
Forrest.
Who's Forrest?
Forrest Gump.
I mean, I'm no fabulous linguist, so I was really lost. And he just had this voice that seemed to come right out of his backbone.
What does his mom say about being stupid?
Stupid is as stupid does.
See?
Are you stupid or something? Mama says stupid is as stupid does. I'm Jenny. I'm Forrest Gump. Good little monkey.
The thing with Forrest and Ginny is that Ginny was really the first person who accepted Forrest without any questions. And on top of that, she looked like an angel.
Well, I don't really have any friends, and I just like him, I guess.
She's one of the only ones that just accepts who he is and doesn't see him as different. He's just not that smart, which she says all the time, Their common bond is that there's always this innocence and purity, and she has that connection with him.
When Hannah gets up alongside you under her mark, you're going to toss it. Action!
Hey, Jenny, watch this.
Forrest and Jenny is what I consider to be one of the classic sort of movie-type romantic stories.
That was the best flight ever.
It seems like an impossible relationship in the beginning of the film, and the possibility that the two characters won't get together really fuels the love story.
If you leave, who's going to be my friend anymore?
I'll always be your friend.
It's not a simple pass at the love interest, We got to have a girl in the movie. Who's it going to be and what are they going to do? It was part of the lifeblood of who Forrest Gump is and what Forrest Gump the story is.
Jenny and Forrest were meant to be. It was magic. But Jenny is so complicated and has a path of her own to follow. It's not an easy relationship.
Have you ever been with a girl, Forrest?
I sit next to him in my home economics class all the time.
I believe in screen chemistry. And I think all the great writing and all the great acting in the world can't make that magical thing that sometimes happens in two dimensions. Tom and Robin are wonderful in the movie.
I'd make a good husband, Jenny.
You would, Forrest.
But you won't marry me.
College ran by real fast because I played so much football. They even put me on a thing called the All-America team, where you get to meet the President of the United States.
One of the fun things about the movie is that Forrest seems to brush near all these historic people and historic events.
He meets Elvis Presley.
He bumps into George Wallace and
John Lennon and Dick Cavett.
Abby Hoffman, and
he might meet Mao Zedong. We don't know.
And he meets 3 presidents.
He's meeting John F. Kennedy because he's one of the All-American football team. So he goes to the White House, and they have all this great food there that's for free. And if there's any substance that Forrest loves, it's Dr. Pepper. So he drinks a lot of them.
And cut. Then we're on time. Just glug, 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 like that. Cut.
B-mark.
And action. And cut. Okay. Let's print that one. Let's do one more. Okay. And cut.
Okay, try it again, everybody.
And cut. Print one more.
Okay, straight away.
Okay. How you doing?
Am I being punished?
Heads up, Dr. Pepper coming through. Hey, I'll have one. Cut. Good here. Print that one.
Congratulations. How does it feel to be an All-American?
It's great. Forrest is not nervous. He's not put out. The only thing he knows is that he's got to go pee.
Congratulations. How do you feel?
I gotta pee.
To create a scene with the real JFK, what we had to do is wade through hours and hours of historical footage of JFK to see if, in fact, there was anything that came close to what was in the script. And it just so happened that we found footage of him in the Oval Office meeting with football players. So I need a longer piece on Kennedy for the first guy.
Bob's shows are always hard because a lot of Bob's stuff utilizes some very subtle effects he wants to achieve, and that for me is the hardest stuff.
Here is some of the original archive footage of John F. Kennedy, and what we have to do is when this woman crosses in front of John F. Kennedy, we've got to get rid of her and put in Tom Hanks.
Show Tom how it's going to actually work. That's going to be you, right? You're standing there, and then, nope, you're out of sync, right? And that's how we're going to do it, right?
Roughly how we're going to do it.
Do you believe it?
How am I supposed to do that?
In this case, Tom Hanks was shot against a blue screen backing, which allowed us to isolate him. And you can see these little white dots here. These were the reference markers, so as they come across, they knew where to put their hands, where to put their eye lines, and we'd be looking at that on a monitor and coaching Tom so that he could get the action to match up.
And how about you? How do you feel?
And pause.
Cut. I don't know. It's scaring me. Very good.
Here we go. Once
It'll
again.
be fun.
Action and pause. And shake, 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 and pause.
Cut. That was a very good one.
Excellent.
It was amazing to see Tom plug in very, very quickly to that because it's hard to do. No matter what we did, his hands wouldn't end up in exactly the right place. And shake, 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 and
But
pause.
can you put it in his, can you get his hand in his hand?
So one of the other things we have to do is we have to adjust his hand and make it fit in exactly so that he makes solid contact.
Because we're sort of morphing his chin down over his shoulder that we're getting.
We're doing a lot of augmentation to these shots so that it feels like Tom is really in the actual archival footage. So we're degrading his image and adding the scratches, the pops, the things that really look like the older footage. So I really like how this works.
They're not just standing together, they're touching each other, shaking hands, interacting, and then also having a conversation.
Congratulations. How do you feel?
I gotta pee.
I believe he said he had to go pee.
They sending me to Vietnam.
Listen, you promised me something, okay? Just, if you're ever in trouble, don't try to be brave. You just run.
Okay. The thing that we never ever wanted to do in any of this movie was just do that kind of tabloid pastiche version of history. If we were going to invest in the idea of going to Vietnam, we had to do Vietnam right.
I only did Vietnam through Forrest's point of view, so you only saw what he saw.
Hey, I bet they shrimp all in these waters. They tell me these Vietnams is good shrimpers.
Bubba is someone that Forrest meets in the Army, and I guess you'd say he's a bit obsessed about shrimping.
Bubba's dream is to be a shrimp boat captain, to catch shrimp, sell shrimp, and have all the shrimp you can eat. Shrimp is the fruit of the sea. You can barbecue it, boil it, broil it.
That's all he talks about in the entire film is shrimp.
Lemon shrimp, coconut shrimp, shrimp burger, shrimp sandwich.
I guess Forrest is the only guy in the Army who'll listen to Bubba talk about shrimp constantly. So they become good friends.
Action! Where you boys from in the world?
Alabama, sir.
You twins?
Oh, no. No, we are not relations, sir.
Forrest meets Lieutenant Dan when he arrives at the fire base in the Mekong Delta, where he's stationed in 1967, and I'm his lieutenant. There's one item of GI gear that can be the difference between a live grunt and a dead grunt. Socks. Cushion sole, OD green.
Forrest says that Lieutenant Dan has a lot to live up to, and we see that in the film.
His plan is either to die in battle like his forefathers, or come out of it standing up and go on and have a proud Norman Schwarzkopf kind of career.
We wanted to capture the reality without playing the same images that we've seen over and over again. And what we don't want to do is make that yet another editorial comment on how bad a place it was or why it just was.
Round your strong arm! Be advised, we have incoming from the tree line at Point Blue!
Lieutenant Dan had his leg shot up pretty bad, but Forrest pulled him out, and now Lieutenant Dan blames Forrest for messing up his destiny.
Leave me here! Get away! Just leave me here! Get out!
Dan, to me, represents the crippling of America to this story. You know, he is that crippled part of America through that part of our generation, my generation, the Vietnam era. I had a destiny. I was Lieutenant Dan Taylor.
You still Lieutenant Dan.
For some reason, ping pong came very natural to me. I was so good that the Army decided that I should be on the All-America ping pong team. We were the first Americans to visit the land of China in like a million years.
As great a ping pong player as Tom Hanks is, he's not as good as what Forrest has to become, so we did that using movie magic. You have the actors mime playing ping pong, and then you put the ball in later optically.
We had this thing of clicks of when we're supposed to hit it and when we're supposed to wait.
Come on up, charge up, Tom. We had to have a metronome so that each character would know when to strike the ball. And then we kept speeding it up and speeding it up. It wasn't that easy.
See it though, Bob. I'm beginning to see the ball.
Of course, very typically, they hire the greatest ping pong player in the world to be Tom's opponent. Of course, this guy's never played without a ball before.
Valentino, he's like a world-class ping pong player, and of course to ask him to pretend to play ping pong is, well, the hard, he had such a tough time.
It was hard for him to play without a ball, but this guy did great.
I don't know how it works. How do these things work? I don't know. But they have it all figured out, and it's usually a bunch of technicians from ILM saying, yeah, well, okay, let's try this.
Our job is to create this ball, which is just a computer-generated image, and animate it within the computer so it matches the timings of their strokes. This was a particularly hard shot because we had an extreme scale change here where the ball is going way off into the distance. So we're trying to study Tom's stroke. Well, he's definitely putting topspin on it, so we've got to, make sure that the ball, has this particular bounce. And it looked like Valentino was returning with slice. So we came up with this final product, and it actually works pretty well. It really looks like they're going whole hog on this.
Jeez, it was very tough. I tell you, it was exhausting playing that ping pong game.
One of the fun things about the movie is that Forrest goes on this adventure and this journey to biodebauchery and goes into the shrimping business.
Forrest becomes a shrimping boat captain. Not that he knows much about shrimping. And Lieutenant Dan makes Forrest a promise that if Forrest should ever become a shrimp boat captain, well, he'll help him out.
Hey! And cut! Kurt! We're gonna do it one more time.
There's nothing harder than trying to make a movie anywhere near boats or water, because everything moves and everything's floating and the sun's moving and the wind and the currents and all those things.
It's a logistical nightmare, for crying out loud. But it was, I mean, it was summertime. It was South Carolina. The water was warm. And it was all the shrimp you could eat.
There's a scene where Lieutenant Dan and Forrest are caught out in a shrimp boat in a hurricane, and he climbs to the top of this masthead and challenges God to sink this boat.
It's time for a showdown! You and me!
Sometimes it's a lot of fun when you bring an actor out when you gotta do a scene like in a hurricane, because it doesn't really read as dramatically as when they step out on the set.
Every time I show up at the set, it's like, this is a lot bigger than I thought it was, Bob.
Typically, when you do a hurricane scene, it's usually done inside of soundstage, and they build a fake boat. And we did it all on a real boat, on real water, and we did it in one night. We had these giant water mortars and rain, giant jet engine to create the wind.
He was telling me about it. Oh, it's going great. We got this jet engine.
You're looking at a jet-powered Master Blaster, the Master Blaster. It's the one and only, the prototype.
Tom, do you know what to do?
I'll probably be pretty much into it as soon as you turn on the jet engine. I'll probably...
Okay.
We're gonna be blowing it right in his face.
The bad news is that they're using a jet engine. The good news is that I'll be arriving in Atlanta 5 minutes ahead of schedule.
And action!
It was fun. It was difficult night, but an important scene.
You'll never sink this boat!
Because Dan chooses to go out and meet God head-on in the hurricane.
He defies God to kill him and to truly wipe him off the face of the earth. And he doesn't do it. God doesn't do it.
A bit of healing begins with him. It's all because of Forrest Gump.
I never thanked you for saving my life.
Our destiny is only defined by how we deal with the chance elements to our life. And that's kind of the embodiment of the feather as it comes in, that here is this thing that can land anywhere, and that it lands at your feet. It has theological implications that are really huge.
Part of the picture is about fate, about the feather blows in the wind and just touches down here or there. Was it planned, or was it just perchance?
Let's go to one.
All right, so let's go back to one. We're going to widen out one. We're going to do it again.
The feather shot is the longest shot I've ever worked on in a film. I think it's the longest effects shot ever done.
And action!
There's no real feather in the shot. We started off shooting the background in Savannah on a crane with a camera. A very elaborately choreographed camera move takes place, and all of the actors, the cars, everything had to be timed just right so the camera was always in the exact spot we wanted it to be. The feather was a blue screen feather with simply a monofilament line on it, with a fan underneath blowing it, and I'm just sort of dancing with it almost, just trying to get some moves.
And what I do is take one of those feather elements and actually composite it over the background so that I could see it And I can actually manipulate the size of the feather or the position so that I can actually choreograph where it is, what direction it's going, and where it's going to end up. In this way, we actually can have the whole flight path be exactly what we want it to be.
One of the touches that we wanted to add was to show, as the feather is maneuvering across the car, a little reflection. So I tried to get a sense of the reflections that's actually there from the trees and other elements that were in the plate, and make the feather reflection look as similar as possible. As the feather goes across, I take an image of it and sort of transform it so you can kind of see it in there just barely as it moves along over the top of the car.
We take it all the way to Tom's foot, and he picks up the feather. The only way to do that was to actually have a real feather stuck to his shoe, so it's always in the shot until we paint it out. Painting that feather out was the most complicated part of that shot.
It wouldn't have been possible to follow the feather, the whole sequence all the way down and land specifically in that location at Tom's feet. So we use the computer graphic feather to land exactly where we want. This is the original feather, and what I'm doing is I'm actually painting pieces of shoe over a sequence of frames. And what I'll do is I'll morph the computer graphic feather as it lands, so what you will see appears to be one single feather with one smooth movement, when in fact what you're seeing is two different feathers.
It's a complicated thing. The feather really represents what the whole movie's about. It's like an abstract painting. You know, it can mean so many things to so many different people.
It means destiny is a crapshoot. Was it supposed to happen like that? Or did it just happen like that because that's the way the feather blew?
I'm home, Mama.
I know.
The sense of home and the sense of where he grew up in the South, all those things are important for us, like I think they're important to all of us. And that's one of the nice things about the film, is that we're able to go to these exotic places, but then we always come back home.
I think that's what it's about, the roots that we keep coming home to, our first loves, our first knowledge of the world. It's who he is, and he will never leave that, because he's never looking to be somebody else.
It's a simple story that's really rooted in the relationships of the people. Forrest and his mother, Forrest and Jenny, Forrest and Lieutenant Dan and Bubba. I think that's really kind of the glue that holds things together.
I believe that Forrest ultimately is an example of life is there to be had for the taking. It's just a matter of reaching out and grabbing it.
Just as he says, well, stupid is as stupid does, is, well, destiny is as destiny does, there's only one thing you can do, and you won't know it till you got to do it.
Don't ever let anybody tell you they're better than you, Forrest.
Try not to do anything stupid, like getting yourself killed.
Smart man, but I know what love is.
My mom always said life was like a box of chocolates.
You never know what you're gonna get.